You've been conditioned to worry, conditioned to believe that anxiety is a sign of responsibility, that fear means you care. But the truth is brutal. Worry is the leash that keeps men obedient. When you worry, you worship chaos. When you overthink, you surrender to forces beneath you. Let the weak drown in their emotions. You rise above them, because once you stop chasing control, control bends to your will. The man who doesn't care whether he wins or loses becomes unpredictable. And that's power. People sense something different in you when you stop flinching. They can't read you. They can't manipulate you. They can only react to you. When you stop worrying, you stop bleeding energy into illusions. You reclaim your focus. You move with silence, precision, and calm dominance. That's when the universe and the people in it begin to respond to you. Now, type this in the comments. I move in silence and the world adjusts. Say it again until it becomes instinct. Number 1, the game of power. Power doesn't chase, power attracts. The moment you stop trying to convince people, the game begins to shift. You start to realize manipulation isn't about deception, it's about emotional control. You control the board by controlling yourself. Most people are addicted to reaction. They flinch at every insult. They beg for clarity. They seek validation like air. But the Machiavellian man, he's the opposite. He's a mirror, emotionless, strategic, aware. He lets others project onto him, then uses their reflection as leverage. When they can't predict you, they start to fear losing you. And fear, my friend, is the most honest emotion humans have. Detach from approval. When you no longer need it, people give it freely. When you stop seeking power, you emanate it. The moment you drop your obsession with control, everything begins aligning around your stillness. Because stillness terrifies the unstable. Calmness is the ultimate display of confidence. Stop explaining yourself, start observing. Watch who gets uncomfortable in your silence. They reveal their insecurity. Watch who tries to test your boundaries. They reveal their hunger for control. Learn to speak less and observe more. Every reaction you don't give, every word you withhold, multiplies your presence. Remember, power isn't loud, it's quiet. It's the energy of a man who knows he can destroy but doesn't need to. It's restraint weaponized. That's why kings are calm. Chaos serves them. Now write this in the comments. My silence commands the room. Let it echo through your mind until you feel it. Because this isn't motivation, it's transformation. The weak want comfort, the strong want control. But the wise, they want detachment, because that's where true power lives. You don't chase. You don't react. You don't explain. You simply exist, and the world recalibrates around your stillness. Number 2, detach or be destroyed. Attachment is the illusion that ruins empires. You hold on to people, outcomes, validation, and the world punishes you for it, because what you cling to begins to control you. You think love is strength? Number. Love is strength only when it's chosen without need. The moment you need someone, they own you. The instant you need success, it slips through your fingers. Detachment isn't coldness, it's supremacy. The Machiavellian understands this. He knows loyalty is fragile, promises are temporary, and emotions are tools, not truths. He doesn't suppress emotion, he channels it. He studies his fears until they obey him. You must become that man. You must look your desires in the eye and say, I own you now. Most men drown in their own minds because they think too much, feel too much, and act too late. But when you detach, you start moving with purpose. No panic, no overthinking, just action. Quiet, efficient, lethal. When you stop chasing control, you become control. People will test you. They'll provoke your silence. They'll mistake your calm for weakness. Let them. The fool's noise only reveals who's losing power. You don't flinch, you don't correct them. You let them underestimate you, because invisibility is power. The more they assume, the more you observe. And the more you observe, the more you dominate without effort. Understand this. Life is a chessboard. Most people are pawns, reacting to threats, hoping for luck. You are not a pawn. You are the player. You don't panic when pieces fall. You trade losses for position. You play the long game because every master knows patience is the most brutal weapon of all. When things fall apart, the average man collapses. The detached man smiles because chaos means opportunity. Destruction is rebirth. When people panic, he plans. When they despair, he calculates. And while they burn, he builds. This is not cruelty. It's nature. Only those who remain calm in the fire rise from it forged, not destroyed. Stop explaining your silence to people who can't hear power. Stop arguing with emotions that don't belong to you. Stop negotiating your worth in rooms unworthy of your voice. You owe them nothing. You owe yourself command. Comment this now. I am calm in chaos. I am control. Let it mark your transformation. Your power doesn't come from being liked. It comes from being unshakable. From standing still when everyone else runs. From knowing that every loss, every betrayal, every delay is a setup, not a setback. Because when you stop fighting the storm, you start steering it. The Stoic endures, the Machiavellian adapts. You must merge both, cold reason and emotional armor, detached observation and quiet ruthlessness. That is the formula for the untouchable. Detach from outcome. Detach from fear. Detach from the illusion that you need permission to win. You are the storm's center, unmoving, unbroken, unbothered. When the world realizes it can't manipulate you, it starts bending to you. That's when things start working out automatically, not because you're lucky, but because your energy has become too stable to resist. The man who needs nothing controls everything. He plays every situation like a game already won. He doesn't chase money. Money moves toward his certainty. He doesn't beg for loyalty. People cling to his approval. He doesn't seek validation. The world validates his silence. And that's the paradox. When you stop needing, everything you wanted starts appearing. Because need is weakness, but intention is power. You're not manifesting, you're mastering. You're commanding your world by commanding yourself. Remember this truth. You don't rise by fighting harder. You rise by caring less. So from now on, when your mind begins to spiral, stop. Observe it. Don't feed it. Detach, breathe, and act with precision. Let others exhaust themselves with emotion while you conserve your energy for victory. Type this in the comments to seal it. My detachment is my dominance, because that's what it is. The highest form of control. The power to walk away. The strength to remain calm when others crumble. The quiet confidence that makes people wonder what you know that they don't. This is how everything starts working out. Not through effort, but through alignment. You've stopped being a slave to chaos. You've become its architect. Number 3. The calm predator. You must learn to walk through chaos like a predator among prey. Silent, calculating, patient. The world worships noise. It confuses volume with influence, chaos with confidence. But the ones who actually pull the strings, they move quietly. The ones who make history, you rarely hear them coming. Every empire that collapsed began with emotion. Every ruler that lost power fell because he reacted too soon, trusted too easily, cared too much. Remember this, caring excessively is a luxury for the powerless. The strong cannot afford emotional chaos. It clouds reason. It gives your enemies an entrance. You are not here to be liked. You are here to be respected. Admiration fades, but psychological weight endures. The goal isn't to be feared, it's to be unreadable. Fear is reactive, but mystery is magnetic. When they can't define you, they begin to revolve around you. They overthink you. They adjust to you. That's real dominance. Silent influence. The calm predator never announces his move. He never warns before he strikes. He doesn't need to. He's already 3 steps ahead, rehearsing outcomes, while others still argue about possibilities. He studies the room, the tone, the energy, until every detail becomes a weapon. When he finally acts, it's surgical. No panic, no noise, just precision. That's the energy you must build. calm, detached, deliberate. Stillness is not peace, it's control. A man who can stay calm while the world burns has already won, because the fire consumes only those who run. When emotion floods a situation, logic drowns, and whoever controls logic controls everything. People will test your silence, they'll interpret it as weakness. Let them. Never explain, never justify. The more you speak, the more you leak. Power thrives in ambiguity. When they don't know what you're thinking, they panic. Their assumptions become your advantage. The fool's noise always exposes him. Your restraint will expose theirs. This is the first law of the calm predator. You don't feed chaos, you starve it. They insult you, you don't react. They doubt you, you don't correct them. They provoke you, you watch them unravel under the weight of your stillness. That's psychological warfare. No words, no emotion, just presence. Calmness is the mark of a man who's seen the battlefield before and stopped flinching. It's not peace, it's strategy. It's the mind saying, I've been here before. I already know how this ends. That energy disorients people because they can't manipulate what doesn't move. To reach that state, you must kill your weakness. Cut off your dependency on validation, attention, reassurance. Every time you chase those, you signal that you can be controlled. The Machiavellian man doesn't need anything external. He's not cold, he's complete. When people realize they can't provoke you, they start respecting you. When they see you don't need them, they start chasing your approval. That's the paradox of power. The less you want control, the more you gain it. You are no longer reacting to life, you're orchestrating it. Stillness must become your signature. Speak little, move less, and let your results echo for you. The calm predator never competes. He waits for competitors to reveal their weakness. Because patience is a luxury only the powerful possess. The impatient expose their hand too soon. The calm one wins by watching. You'll start to notice something strange when you live this way. Opportunities begin to unfold effortlessly. People listen when you finally speak. Rooms grow quieter when you enter. The world starts to mirror your energy. Because people can sense control. They can feel composure. That's why calmness is so misunderstood. It's not passivity, it's silent aggression. The kind that doesn't need to roar to be feared. When you move with that kind of self-possession, even your silence feels like pressure. Every word you don't say becomes weight. Every action you don't take becomes power stored. Understand, this doesn't mean never act. It means never act from emotion. Reacting is submission. Responding is control. When something challenges you, analyze it first. Delay your emotion, master your state, then move like a strategist, not a soldier. The warrior fights, the strategist wins. Calmness separates the predator from the prey. The prey panics, the predator plans. The prey screams, the predator watches. The prey reacts, the predator decides. Every time you hold your composure under pressure, your power multiplies. That's why the Stoics called self-control the highest virtue, because it's the foundation of every other one. In this world, dominance isn't earned, it's projected. You either radiate command or you chase it. People feel your emotional stability before they hear your words. That's why silence works. It's psychological gravity. It pulls others into your orbit, and when they revolve around you long enough, they begin to confuse obedience for choice. So be the calm predator. Don't react, don't explain, don't chase. Watch, measure, act. Every time you hold your composure, you ascend above the emotional chaos that enslaves the weak. Every time you remain still, the universe moves closer to your rhythm. Now, mark your transformation. Comment, "My calmness is my control." Because that's what this is. Control over yourself, over your reactions, over your entire reality. This is how the world begins to move for you, not because you're forcing it, but because you've stopped giving it resistance. You've stopped leaking energy. You've become still, composed, inevitable. That's the essence of a calm predator. That's how everything starts working out automatically. Number 4, emotional control is psychological warfare. Control your emotions, or your emotions will control you. That's the law. And every man who's ever lost everything, lost it because he couldn't master this. He reacted too soon, cared too loudly, and revealed too much. Emotions are signals, not commands. The moment you treat them as truth, they own you. In the game of power, emotions are the easiest way to manipulate someone. The moment someone gets you angry, they control your next move. The moment someone makes you desperate, they dictate your decisions. People who can control how you feel already control what you do. That's why the first rule of psychological warfare is simple: become emotionally invisible. The Machiavellian man knows how to use emotion strategically, not impulsively. He can appear kind without caring, furious without feeling, compassionate without weakness. He uses emotion as a weapon, not a wound. And that terrifies people because emotional restraint is the highest form of dominance. It signals that nothing they do can shift you. You are a fixed point in a chaotic world. You must learn to separate feeling from reaction. When you feel anger, don't express it, analyze it. When you feel fear, don't hide it, study it. When you feel desire, don't chase it, control it. Emotion is information, not instruction. The weak feel something and immediately obey it. The strong feel something and immediately understand it. That's what emotional control truly is. Understanding before expression, strategy before impulse. The calm man doesn't suppress emotion, he translates it into direction. He turns pain into patience, fear into foresight, anger into fuel. The world thinks he's emotionless, but he's simply disciplined. Think of life as a chessboard. The emotional man plays checkers, reacting to every move, hoping for luck. The controlled man plays chess. He sacrifices, he waits, he plans. He's 10 moves ahead because his emotions don't cloud his vision. While the emotional ones are trying to win the moment, he's already securing the war. This is why stoicism is feared, because nothing confuses manipulators more than someone who doesn't bite the bait. They thrive on reactions. They feed on energy. They'll poke you, test you, insult you, just to see what breaks you. And when you don't flinch, they lose interest. You become unplayable. Every argument, every relationship, every negotiation is a psychological arena. And in that arena, emotions are weapons. Whoever stays calm wins, because calmness keeps logic alive. You can't think clearly when your heart's on fire. But when your mind stays cold, you see patterns no one else sees. You begin to predict behavior. You stop being reactive and start being strategic. So when someone tries to provoke you, remember this. Their goal is not to win. It's to make you lose composure. The man who gets angry first loses status. The man who argues longest loses respect. But the man who remains calm, speaks last, and observes everything, he controls the room. Even silence can be a weapon. Sometimes the most powerful response is none, because silence breeds insecurity. It forces others to question themselves. When you stop explaining yourself, you become enigmatic. And the human mind fears what it can't define. Emotional control is not about being numb. It's about emotional discipline. You must know exactly when to feel, how much to feel, and when to show it. The same way a warrior sharpens his blade, you sharpen your responses, each one measured, intentional, and minimal. That's how you win without fighting. Because when people can't predict your emotional state, they can't anticipate your strategy. You've become a ghost in the battlefield, unseen, unreactive, untouchable. This level of control radiates power. People start treating your presence differently. They start hesitating before they speak. They weigh their words because your silence has weight. That's when you know you've crossed over from emotional participant to emotional architect. To reach that point, you must reprogram how you see emotion itself. Stop labeling it as good or bad. Every emotion is neutral. It's the interpretation that weakens you. Anger can be destructive or decisive. Fear can paralyze or prepare you. Love can weaken or sharpen you. You choose what it becomes. Emotion is clay. Control is the sculptor. Every reaction you don't give builds psychological armor. Every insult you don't acknowledge builds reputation. Every provocation you ignore increases your mystique. The emotional man spends energy defending his ego. The controlled man spends energy building his empire. And people notice. They won't understand it, but they'll feel it. They'll sense something in your energy. That silent, unshakable presence that says, "You can't touch me." And that's when they start adjusting around you. That's when you become the center of gravity in every room. Understand, the world doesn't respect emotion. It respects control. Compassion means nothing without boundaries. Confidence means nothing without restraint. Power means nothing without silence. This is why Machiavelli said, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." Because fear, in its purest form, is not violence. It's control. It's the recognition that you cannot be swayed emotionally. That's what truly unsettles people. They can't find a weakness to exploit. From this moment forward, discipline your emotions like a soldier polishes his blade. Cut away every reaction that doesn't serve your purpose. Replace every outburst with analysis. Replace every anxiety with strategy. Replace every attachment with intention. And when people try to draw emotion out of you, smile, because you already know what's happening. You've read the script before they've acted the scene. That's psychological warfare, playing chess with people who don't even realize they're on the board. Now anchor this lesson. Comment, "I control emotion. Emotion does not control me." Let it be your creed. Because once you master that, you no longer play the game. You are the game. Number 5, the psychology of distance. Distance is not detachment, it's control. The greatest mistake weak minds make is confusing presence with power. They think they must always be seen, always be heard, always be involved. But the Machiavellian understands, when you are everywhere, you become ordinary. When you are scarce, you become valuable. Distance creates gravity. The more you pull away, the more they reach. The more silent you become, the louder their curiosity grows. People chase what they can't have, respect what they can't read, and desire what they can't understand. That's the psychology of distance. It transforms absence into authority. When you're constantly available, you tell the world you have no boundaries. You teach people they can summon you at will. And when people know they can reach you easily, they stop respecting the connection. Familiarity is the slow poison of influence. The more they get used to you, the less they value you. You must become strategically distant, not cold, but calculated. You appear when you choose, speak when it serves you, and disappear when your energy is being drained. Like the tide, your presence must move with rhythm and intention. Show too much and you lose mystery. Show too little and you lose relevance. The balance is everything. Distance is not isolation, it's filtration. You are not cutting people off, you are filtering access. Not everyone deserves proximity. Some people drain energy, others distort perception, and many disguise weakness as intimacy. You owe them nothing. The more selective you become, the more sacred your time becomes. Remember, energy is currency. Every conversation, every favor, every reaction, it costs you something. The powerful spend it carefully. They know that presence given freely is presence wasted. So they withdraw often, not because they fear others, but because they understand that solitude is strategy. The psychology of distance is simple. People only see your value when they experience your absence. When they can't reach you, they start to think about you. When you don't explain yourself, they start to overthink you. When you stop trying to prove, they start to assume. And assumption is more powerful than proof. It creates myth. This is how you build psychological presence. You speak less, you appear less, you explain nothing, you let silence do the talking. And in time, your absence begins to speak louder than anyone's presence. That's not arrogance, that's engineering perception. When you distance yourself, you gain clarity. Solitude is not loneliness, it's recalibration. It's where your mind resets and your emotions align with logic again. Every powerful man in history had periods of solitude, not as escape, but as refinement. Because you can't see the battlefield when you're standing in the noise. You must step back to see the pattern. People fear being alone because they've never learned to be in their own company. But solitude is where you become dangerous. It's where you stop needing the world's energy to validate yours. You stop chasing company. You start attracting attention. And here's the paradox. The more distant you become, the more influence you hold. Because distance makes people project. They fill the silence with their own interpretations. They imagine your thoughts, your feelings, your motives, and every projection reveals their psychology, not yours. That's how you gain control without speaking a word. Machiavelli taught that perception is stronger than reality, and distance manipulates perception perfectly. The less they know, the more they imagine, and in their imagination, you become larger, sharper, more mysterious. That's why restraint is seductive. That's why calmness is magnetic. When you master distance, you stop being predictable. People can't gauge your intentions. They can't anticipate your reactions. They can't prepare for your moves. That uncertainty makes you untouchable. It's not cruelty, it's chess. You control the board by refusing to play every move. But distance is not an escape from the world. It's a tactical position. It gives you perspective, not weakness. When you pull back, you see who reaches forward. When you go silent, you see who demands attention. When you disappear, you see who notices. That's how you separate loyalty from convenience, truth from performance. Distance exposes people. It reveals their dependence. Watch how they react when you withdraw. The insecure will panic, the manipulators will guilt trip, and the powerful will respect it. Because those who understand power understand boundaries. You must also master emotional distance, not indifference, but control. Love without attachment, help without expectation, lead without needing applause. When you detach emotionally, you stay objective. You stop making choices from weakness. You stop negotiating from fear. That's where Machiavellian composure meets stoic strength. Emotion guided by intention. Never confuse coldness with control. Coldness pushes people away. Control draws them closer, but on your terms. You don't reject emotion. You regulate it. You don't avoid people. You filter them. That's the art. To remain connected, but never entangled. The more distance you can hold between feeling and reaction, the more stable your power becomes. Because reactions expose need, and need is the scent of prey. Every manipulator hunts for emotional leakage, over-explaining, oversharing, over-caring. You must give them nothing. Imagine yourself as the ocean, deep, calm, unreadable. On the surface, still. Beneath it, infinite. When someone throws a stone into you, the ripples fade fast because you are too vast to be disturbed. That's distance, not physical, not emotional, energetic. The calm predator uses distance as armor. He walks away without malice, watches without emotion, returns only when the moment serves him. Every step back is power stored. Every silence is data collected. Every delay is control reinforced. You'll notice how the world responds differently when you operate this way. People start showing you their true nature. Those who once ignored you begin to seek your attention. Those who once talked over you now hesitate before speaking because they can feel it. Your restraint, your self-possession, your detachment. It radiates quiet dominance. Understand this. Distance doesn't reduce connection. It amplifies it. The absence of presence creates tension. And tension, when controlled, becomes attraction. Not just in relationships, in business, influence, and power. The less available you are, the more authority your presence commands when you do appear. That's why kings don't walk among the crowd. Their power depends on distance. The rare glimpse is what makes the crowd kneel. The wise understand. Scarcity breeds reverence. The same rule applies to your energy, your time, your words. Make them rare, make them cost something. When you speak, let it be with purpose. When you appear, let it be intentional. When you disappear, let it be strategic. Don't explain your silence. Let them wonder what you're planning. That uncertainty is control. That curiosity is leverage. And when they finally see you again, changed, focused, quiet, they'll realize you never disappeared. You were refining, you were preparing, you were evolving beyond their reach. Now anchor this philosophy in your mind. Comment, my distance defines my dominance. Because it does. Distance is how you reclaim your energy, reset your perspective, and command your world. It's not isolation, it's self-respect weaponized. It's how everything begins to work out automatically, not because you forced it, but because you mastered the art of moving on your own terms. The calm predator uses distance not to escape life, but to control it, and in doing so, he becomes untouchable. Number 6. Silence and the architecture of power. Silence is the highest form of communication. The world thinks words build power, but words expose. Words reveal fear, insecurity, intention. The Machiavellian knows the one who speaks less controls more, because silence forces others to fill the space with their own assumptions, and assumptions are tools. You can rule an entire room without saying a thing. When you walk in, you don't announce. You don't greet first. You observe. You study tone, posture, eyes. Power is in the pause before action, not in action itself. Every second you withhold a response builds tension. Every moment of silence increases gravity. That tension is psychological leverage. Silence disorients the emotional. They can't stand the absence of reaction. They need feedback to survive. When you stay quiet, their insecurity echoes louder than your words ever could. You become a mirror, reflecting their need, their guilt, their fear. The calm predator doesn't need to roar. He lets silence do the intimidation. This is what Niccolo Machiavelli understood when he wrote, "It is double victory to conquer yourself and your opponent, because silence is self-conquest. It's emotional mastery refined into presence. The loud speak to be believed. The powerful speak because it is necessary. But silence is not emptiness. It's orchestration. The controlled man uses silence as a weapon, not an escape. He listens to extract data, not empathy. He pauses to create imbalance. He stays quiet to measure reactions. Every second of silence in a conversation is an X-ray. It reveals who can handle tension and who breaks under it. You must become fluent in pauses. Let people sit in their own words. Don't rush to fill the gap. Don't soften their discomfort. Let them feel the weight of your listening. Because when you stop reacting, they start revealing. They'll talk longer, overshare, confess, and try to read you. And in their effort to understand you, they expose themselves. That's the architecture of power, control built on restraint. It's the discipline to speak last and act later. When others rush to respond, they give away their strategy. When they seek reassurance, they give away their weakness. But when you remain still, they project power onto you. The mind cannot tolerate a void, so it fills your silence with meaning. Silence makes people overvalue your words. If you speak rarely, each sentence becomes an event. People lean in, they listen harder, they remember longer. This is how influence is built, not through volume, but through scarcity. You don't need to say more, you need to say less with precision. Every pause before a decision is a calculation. Every delay before an answer is a test. Every refusal to explain yourself forces the world to assign depth to you. That's why kings and generals mastered silence, because perception is power, and silence controls perception like a sculptor controls clay. Silence also trains your mind. It starves your ego. The ego wants to be heard, validated, understood. But power thrives in mystery. The less you reveal, the less you can be attacked. The quieter your moves, the louder your impact. When your enemies finally realize what you were building, it's already too late. You must also weaponize silence in conflict. The emotional man argues. The controlled man observes. The Machiavellian never tries to win an argument. He lets the other person exhaust themselves until they look unstable. Because power doesn't prove, it prevails. When someone insults you, they want reaction. Deny it. When someone doubts you, they want reassurance. Deny it. When someone challenges you, they want your energy. Deny it. In that denial lies your authority. You starve their need for dominance, and in doing so, you dominate. This is not coldness, this is control, because silence is not absence of communication. It's a shift in who controls the frame. When you stop responding emotionally, you start dictating tempo. You decide when the game begins and when it ends. That's how generals command armies, not through shouting, but through precision and presence. The architecture of power is built on this formula. Observe, pause, decide, then act once. Each phase eliminates weakness. Observation builds awareness. Pause creates perspective. Decision sharpens focus. Action finalizes dominance. The man who can hold his tongue in the storm will command when the storm clears, because silence keeps your reputation intact while others destroy theirs with noise. Every word you don't say becomes a fortress wall. Every reaction you withhold becomes armor. Every silence you hold becomes a throne. The more you speak, the more predictable you become. The quieter you are, the more unpredictable you appear. And unpredictability is psychological fear. People can handle your presence, but not your silence, because in silence, they face themselves. Silence is not a lack of communication. It's concentrated communication. It speaks directly to the subconscious. It tells people, I'm not competing with you. I've already won. To embody this, practice it in every area of life. When others rush, slow down. When others panic, breathe. When others talk, listen. When they fill the air, you collect information. When they finally stop, that's when you strike, verbally or strategically. The greatest warriors and negotiators never raise their voices. They let silence press against the opponent's nerves until the opponent cracks. Because the one who breaks the silence first is usually the one who loses control. Mastering silence means mastering your impulses, and mastering your impulses means mastering people, because the entire world operates on emotional reaction. Every advertisement, argument, or manipulation relies on making you feel before you think. The silent mind reverses that pattern. It thinks first, then decides if the feeling deserves energy. This is where Stoicism and Machiavellianism fuse. The Stoic controls himself, the Machiavellian controls others. Silence is the bridge between both. It keeps your emotions invisible while amplifying your presence. Your silence should not be timid. It should be felt. When you enter a room, your lack of chatter should feel deliberate. When you speak, it should sound final. That's how authority is communicated, not through shouting, but through certainty. Understand that silence is also an amplifier. It magnifies your aura. It sharpens the edges of your presence. It tells people, this man speaks when he wants to, not when he's told to. That's power in its purest form. The refusal to be rushed, the refusal to be read, the refusal to be ordinary. Now, burn this truth into your identity. Comment, my silence builds empires. Because it does. Silence is the architecture of invisible power, the blueprint behind respect, attraction, and dominance. When you control your words, you control your world. This is how you stop worrying. This is how everything starts working out automatically, because silence realigns the universe in your favor. It cuts the noise, exposes the weak, and crowns the one who speaks last. Number 7. The psychology of patience and timing. Power is not only about what you do, it's when you do it. Timing separates the impulsive from the influential, the loud from the legendary. The impatient man burns his opportunities in the fire of reaction. The patient man waits until the world bends into position. Patience isn't weakness. It's warfare in slow motion. The one who waits sees more. Every delay reveals new motives, new weaknesses, new openings. The Machiavellian mind understands this. The world always rewards those who can sit still while everyone else scrambles. Most people equate speed with progress. They run at full pace toward nowhere, exhausting themselves to appear productive. But power doesn't sprint. It stalks. The predator doesn't chase every shadow in the forest. He studies the wind, the terrain, the rhythm of his prey. Then he strikes once, and the game ends. Timing is the art of stillness before the storm. It's holding back when every part of you wants to act. It's restraint disguised as laziness, composure mistaken for hesitation. You let them believe you're doing nothing until you move, and everything shifts. Every empire, every successful mind, every dominant figure you've ever admired understood the rhythm of time. They knew that people who rush are predictable. The impatient reveal their intentions. They chase validation before the foundation is ready, and when their time runs out, they fall into obscurity. You must reprogram your instinct to rush. When you want something, don't grab, plan. When you feel urgency, don't sprint, slow down. Impulses are the enemy of power. They make you transparent. They make you human. The moment you act from desperation, you broadcast your weakness to the world. But patience? Patience is divine. It's the quiet announcement of someone who knows he cannot lose. The man who waits doesn't wait because he's afraid. He waits because he understands. Time reveals all things. It exposes lies, tests loyalty, dissolves illusions. Machiavelli wrote that a wise ruler must wait for fortune like a hunter waits for the right wind. You cannot command the wind, but you can command yourself. The fool resists time. The strategist works with it. In the silence of patience, information arrives. You start to see who's real, who's loyal, who's weak. You notice how people act when they think you're not watching. You learn who respects your absence and who resents it. This clarity gives you leverage no speech could ever achieve. Timing also dictates the rhythm of revenge, of power plays, of strategy. If someone disrespects you, don't react, record, wait. They expect fire, give them frost. You let them believe they've escaped consequence until your patience has gathered every angle, every weakness, every opportunity. Then you act, quietly, efficiently, permanently. Patience is not passive. It's a weapon with a delayed trigger. Every second you wait, the pressure builds. Every moment you resist impulse, you transfer control from emotion to logic. That's how you turn waiting into dominance. You'll see it everywhere once you understand it. In business, relationships, negotiations. The first to speak often loses. The one who can hold silence, delay gratification, and stretch anticipation wins. Patience also creates presence. People will start to wonder why you're so calm when they're panicking. They'll project power onto you. They'll assume you know something they don't. That's because patience is intelligence in motion. You've seen beyond the surface while they're still drowning in it. To master patience, you must kill your addiction to instant results. Every goal worth achieving demands endurance. The impatient crumble halfway. The patient arrive when the noise dies down, and they claim the prize in silence. Even the universe operates on timing. The seed doesn't demand fruit the next day. The storm doesn't rage forever. The tide doesn't resist its rhythm. Yet humans, intoxicated by emotion, fight the flow of time and lose. The wise man aligns with it and wins effortlessly. Patience also refines your intuition. When you stop reacting, your perception sharpens. You start noticing the subtleties others miss. Tone, timing, hesitation. You learn to read between words, to sense motive in silence. You become the chess player surrounded by checkers. Every test of patience is an opportunity to expand your control. Waiting is training. It conditions your mind to stay composed in discomfort, to delay pleasure, to absorb tension without breaking. That's what builds your aura, calm under chaos. And once you've mastered patience, everything that once intimidated you starts to move slower. Problems feel smaller, people seem predictable. You've stepped out of the emotional current and into the vantage point above it. The secret is to view time as your ally, not your enemy. Let others waste theirs chasing validation. You will build, quietly, relentlessly. You will sharpen your craft, your body, your vision, while the world scrolls and sleeps. That's the Machiavellian way. Invisible progress, visible results. Because patience without work is delusion. But patience with discipline becomes inevitability. Every day you wait with purpose, your silence grows heavier, your presence becomes prophecy. You're no longer hoping things work out, you're aligning reality to your rhythm. So when you feel the urge to rush, remind yourself, haste is the language of the desperate, calm is the dialect of kings. When the world demands instant answers, respond with stillness. When they expect panic, give them pause. When they pressure you, remember, time bends for the composed. Now, imprint this into your psyche. Comment, my timing is my weapon. Because it is. Patience is not waiting, it's preparation disguised as silence. It's how empires are built and how predators win. It's how everything starts to fall into place, not through noise, not through force, but through rhythm, precision, and the calm certainty that the world always bends to the one who knows how to wait. Number 8. Control the narrative. Power is never about truth. It's about belief. History is written by whoever controls perception long enough for it to become accepted reality. That's the first law of the narrative. People don't follow facts. They follow certainty. Every kingdom, every brand, every leader exists because they understood this one rule. The world doesn't care who's right. It listens to who sounds right the longest. And when you master that rhythm, when your tone cuts deeper than proof, you no longer fight for attention, you command it. Narrative is psychological territory. It's the invisible empire that governs thought before action. The masses live inside someone else's story, their opinions pre-installed, their emotions pre-programmed. The Machiavellian mind refuses to live in another man's script. He writes his own and forces the world to adapt. To control the narrative, you must first control perception. And to control perception, you must sculpt image. Image is armor. Image is weapon. It's not about pretending, it's about precision, delivering just enough truth to be credible, just enough mystery to be untouchable. When people can't define you, they can't confine you. The moment they label you, you're captured. The moment you defend yourself, you accept their frame. That's why power never explains. It declares, it reframes. Understand, every interaction is a battle for framing. Whoever defines the terms wins the argument before it begins. The fool debates, the strategist defines. When you walk into a room, your tone, your posture, your silence, they write the first line of the story about you. Speak slowly, move deliberately, let your stillness imply control. The room will shape its perception around the gravity you project. That's narrative in motion. Control begins with self-narration. How do you describe yourself when no one listens? Every thought you repeat becomes a headline inside your mind. Weak men narrate their lives as victims. Powerful men narrate their lives as architects. The story you tell yourself leaks into the way you move, speak, and decide. That's why the inner dialogue must sound like command, not confession. Stop telling the world what you've been through. Start showing what you've become because of it. The world doesn't care about pain. It responds to presentation. Suffering is respected only when it's refined into strength. That's how you weaponize history, by editing it. Narrative control also means emotional restraint. When you react to what others say about you, you validate their authority to define you. When you remain silent, you steal that power back. Gossip, criticism, rumor, they only exist if you respond. Silence deletes narratives faster than denial ever could. The Machiavellian never fights with words, he replaces them. He introduces a stronger storyline. People believe repetition, not logic. Say something long enough with conviction, and the crowd will rewrite memory to fit it. That's the law of psychological gravity. Belief bends towards certainty. Study how the powerful shape attention. They understand that outrage is currency and mystery is magnetism. They know perception doesn't need to be perfect, just consistent. Consistency creates credibility, and credibility creates control. But remember, you can't control the narrative outside until you master the one inside. The insecure man over-explains. The powerful man underspeaks. The difference isn't knowledge, it's composure. One needs validation. The other writes validation into the air he breathes. Machiavelli wrote, "Men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand. Appearances matter more than intent. It's not cynicism, it's human nature. People don't have time to analyze reality, they read symbols. So become a symbol. Every gesture, every pause, every refusal, let it mean something. You must learn to tell stories without words. The way you dress, the way you enter, the way you hold stillness, they broadcast authority. The weak explain their power. The strong demonstrate it through presence. Perception is architecture. You build it brick by brick. Discipline, tone, boundaries, composure. Never let the world see you uncertain. Even if chaos claws at your door, stand like marble. Because image, unbroken, outlasts emotion every time. The narrative you project must be intentional. Want respect? Speak rarely. Want desire? Reveal slowly. Want loyalty? Deliver results quietly and let your name travel through others. The most powerful propaganda is not shouted, it's whispered. You must also learn to weaponize contrast. The human mind remembers what stands apart. Be colder in a warm room, calmer in chaos, quieter in noise. The difference makes you unforgettable. That's narrative engineering, psychology disguised as personality. Controlling perception doesn't mean lying, it means prioritizing. Truth is a weapon, but only when sharpened and aimed. Give the world clarity in doses, never confession in floods. Ambiguity protects you. It makes them fill the blanks with respect or fear. Either serves your purpose. The Machiavellian never fights the narrative head-on. He redirects it. When accused, he reframes. When attacked, he absorbs. When doubted, he delays. Because time erodes outrage, and patience turns falsehood into background noise. You must view every opinion about you as free marketing. Even criticism feeds curiosity. People whisper your name because they're already enrolled in your story. Let them. Just make sure the version of you they discuss is one step behind the version you've already become. That way, no one ever truly catches you. The world runs on optics. Morality is theater. Leadership is illusion. The masses need characters to follow. They crave archetypes more than truth. That's why charisma beats correctness and confidence beats evidence. Don't chase fairness. Build fascination. To control the narrative, build an atmosphere around you. The air must feel heavier when you enter. That comes from discipline, from the repetition of composed habits until they crystallize into aura. People sense energy before logic. Make yours unshakable. Distance and silence, when combined, form mystique. Add timing, and you create inevitability. Add consistency, and you become legend. That's the formula. Not luck. Architecture. Always remember, you are not what you say you are. You are what the world believes you are. And that belief is engineered through patience, symbolism, and repetition. Every time you speak, you reinforce or weaken your myth. Speak only when your words reinforce it. Let every sentence either elevate your authority or deepen your mystery. Anything else is noise. When you lose control of the narrative, don't fight it, redirect it. Introduce a stronger emotion. Humans can't hold two feelings at once. Overwhelm them with a new one. Replace fear with fascination, confusion with confidence, anger with respect. The one who decides what people feel about a story ultimately decides what they believe about it. Emotion shapes memory more than accuracy. History remembers tone, not transcripts. So craft your tone with surgical care. Be calm when they're loud. Be certain when they're unsure. Be deliberate when they're frantic. Soon, your rhythm becomes the reference point others subconsciously follow. That's how leaders are born. Not through command, but through emotional synchronization. And when your narrative is challenged, remember, the storm always passes, but perception remains. Stay still. Don't correct lies. Let them dissolve in your silence. The truth always re-emerges in the shadow of composure. In this world, control is not taken. It's believed into existence. You don't have to be right. You have to appear inevitable. That's the secret the powerful never say aloud. Build your myth, protect it, polish it, then disappear long enough for it to grow in the imagination of others. When you return, you'll find the story has evolved, larger than you, serving you. That's when you've transcended reputation and entered legend. And when you stand there, surrounded by speculation and silence, you'll realize something profound. You no longer chase the narrative. You are the narrative. Now seal this lesson inside your mind. Comment, I control perception, therefore I control reality. Because that is the final truth. Control the narrative, and the world becomes your reflection. Speak rarely, move strategically. Stay silent long enough for the story to grow in your favor. That's how everything begins to align, not through force, but through mastery. Number 9. The untouchable state. There's a level beyond control, beyond composure, beyond dominance. It's the state where nothing reaches you, not praise, not insult, not loss. You see everything, but you no longer absorb it. This is the untouchable state. It's where a man stops being reactive and starts being elemental. To become untouchable, you must first dismantle everything fragile inside you. Every emotional attachment that dictates your peace, every external validation that defines your worth, every lingering need for understanding, all of it must die. Power begins where dependency ends. The world teaches men to react. Society rewards emotional transparency because it makes you predictable. And predictability is weakness disguised as authenticity. The untouchable man is not emotionless. He's emotion-controlled. He doesn't suppress feelings, he repurposes them. He turns pain into data, betrayal into strategy, and loneliness into fuel. Imagine yourself as a fortress, silent, unshakable, and built from the stones of everything that once broke you. Inside, your mind sits at the highest tower, detached from the noise below. You observe emotion like weather, aware of it, but never lost in it. That's the essence of mastery. You stop asking, why me? And start asking, what can this teach me? The untouchable state is not arrogance, it's alignment. You've stopped fighting the nature of reality. You understand that people will betray, circumstances